with that, we're on page 61 with the EMS budget. So Ben had requested, and I think the rest of the council agrees, we'd like to know what the ambulance board would like to, how they'd like to approach their budget, and also discussing the supplemental provided to the ambulance service. So with that, ambulance board, where are you leaning? Yeah.
Page press down.
60. I gotta get to the right
Page 61.
page here. Yes. After some thought, not knowing what the future will hold in regards to the number of runs, we've decided not to, at this time, not to budget the third truck for the simple fact we don't have any contract with the local hospital. We've been given some assurances, which is, sorry to say, is probably no more than lip service, and we can't even hardly sit down with the higher-ups, the people who are actually making the decisions, to get a straight answer from them. I don't know if that's by design or not, it doesn't matter. Just the fact is that they're not willing to give us a contract for additional runs, therefore we won't need a third truck. We are doing a few runs a week for them, which, you know, we try to be good neighbors, try to get along. I think we're doing 3 or 4 a week, which does help us when we're not busy. It helps with the income. It's all about the income. But, you know, that is only when they have to wait, you know, 12, 24 hours, in some cases 48 hours, to get some of their patients moved because their current contractor, well, they just don't get too excited about giving them good service. So that's all I'll say about that. I want to remind everyone here of one thing about the ambulance service. When I first got involved with the board, I sat in that office over there, and we had Jim Freeman, who runs and operates, owns the billing services that we've been using for many, many years. They charge us about, I don't know, $50,000, $60,000 a year. You know, a billing service is almost a necessity because that's your income stream. We can't afford to pay someone to go out here and collect these bills. This is what these people do, so that's why we hire. The nice thing about Jim Freeman is that he used to operate his own private service, so he's very knowledgeable on ambulance services, and in addition to doing the billing services, he's been someone that, especially Phil has a good relationship with him. We have leaned on him for advice, which has been very helpful. But he told us here a few months ago, well, it's been over a year ago now, that there is no way that your ambulance service could ever be viable unless you have a minimum of 4,000 runs per year. It's just not possible. That's one man's opinion. Since he's been in the ambulance service business, since this is what he's done his whole life, I would assume that he probably, in looking at us, knows what he's talking about. We do about 3,200, somewhere between 3,000 and 3,400 runs a year. So, we're already at a disadvantage. What I'm trying to say here is, if anyone here in county government ever thought that this ambulance service could be self-sustaining and support itself has never looked at the numbers. Especially in this day and age, now, with the prices of everything going up. I mean, not to mention fuel, I don't have to tell you people what the economy's doing and inflation and everything. So the bottom line is, just be prepared to do some creative thinking, and I guess I'm speaking to myself and the ambulance board, and don't think we haven't racked our brains trying to come up with a solution. And it's just all about finding the money. Where do you want to get the money? Where are we going to get the money funded? Right now, it's coming out of, you know, you might as well say, in some form or matter, it's going to end up coming out of the general fund. So, do you want to rearrange, like Darren Bates suggested, do you want to rearrange some lit? That's something you need to think about, because I'm here to tell you, I am not ashamed to admit I don't have the answer. I need some help. I've been trying to seek out, we've been trying to seek out answers. There's just no easy answer. It's no secret, those who are remotely familiar with the ambulance service, it's no secret this has been an ongoing problem. It will continue to be an ongoing problem. But I'm very passionate about the ambulance service because of the trials and tribulations we've gone through. Don't want to go into that, but we are on solid footing. We got a beautiful facility. The money we put into that facility alone, if it was put on the auction block today, I think we would double our money because of inflation and the way things have gone up. So we have a good investment in that. It's modern, it's up to date. We have a training facility, which very few counties have. But I'm here to tell you, we're going to have to find some ways to continue to fund this. Now we do get, I'll use the public defender's argument, we get reimbursements a little bit. But we're going to need a few more $100,000 eventually. I think we found some areas in the budget we can if we have to, that will help back things up for us. But it's just the cold, hard reality. Our wages have increased out there since 2017 in order to keep employees and have good employees. We've increased wages in the last 5 years, something to the tune of almost 32%. So the people we have out there now, they're happy. They're getting paid well. And they should be paid well, the kind of work they do. People tend to get a little upset when there's someone whose life is in danger and they can't get an ambulance there on a timely basis and minutes matter.
So here's my question. What'd you come up with for a budget in 2023?
Well, by dropping that third truck, that gets it down to, around 1.7.
1.768.
6.8.
314.
Yes.
1.7.
1.768314.
backing out the third truck.
Yeah.
And then once the third truck was backed out, some things that was held out for the two trucks will have to go back in, like on call and some other things.
On call would go back up and then
And that number's included.
fuel drop down again.
That was included, I thought, in,
Yeah, this is Chelsea's net
give
number.
us a number about 1.7 yesterday.
Yes.
Yeah. This may just be,
The only thing I wasn't for sure on was the on call, and I think she said that goes up.
Mhm.
I know it goes up, but I didn't, for whatever
it's
reason, I
about
didn't write it.
15,000, went back up.
I was thinking 17,
Yeah,
somewhere around there. But the fuel that we dropped, or she said she would drop at 10,
yeah.
take it to 70.
She just had to readjust her numbers to get the call volume covered with on-call, what have you.
So Ben, you had made a good point yesterday, thinking about receipts versus what is budgeted for that. So the numbers I had from 21 with the receipts and the supplement was 1.391550 was
Yes.
the total.
Yeah, about.
So- Yeah, so there still is a gap
Yes,
there.
yes, there is still a gap. I just gotta make a comment, because I was in on the inception. I have a letter from a gentleman that was mentioned by Todd here a few minutes ago. That was the swaying deal that took us from private hauler or somebody hauling for us, contracted to us, to try to go on our own. He was in on it too. That letter says, in Washington County, we should easily be able to generate enough revenue to support without any stipend. That's in the beginning, okay? That's the reason we ventured into this game. Well, a couple of years into it, of course, I was watching money pretty much, but I recognized the fact that was going to happen, because the goal was, we was paying the hauler, the other people, about $285 to $325 a year. It's going to go up. And what we paid our engineers when we started was $250. We started out with $250 and borrowed $262. It's all we could borrow in the county. We got down the road 5 years, but things were changing and escalating, and and I recognize, I think you pull the tape from the budget hearing 219, somewhere in there you'll hear me say, we need to pay the MTs more. And we need to recognize the fact that this thing ain't never done itself, somewhere that's in there. I think, with all that said, I think we're in a position now that if we do things correctly, and not to dispute everything you said, but your run volumes, which is on Chelsea's sheet, I was just curious when that guy got 4,000 runs, because we were getting close with stipend to break even on 3,200 runs, which those runs included transfers. But
What year was that?
that would have been 2016. We started 14,
Yeah.
okay? 16 was our best year run volume was. In fact, you still have my paperwork. If you bring it back, I'll show you where all that's at. But I was just noticing your 911 run volume, you know, and I think these are numbers from 21, 20, 19, and 18, and this is on Chelsea's handout. I'm going to go from 18. 18, you had 2372, 2519, 19 and 20, 2758, 21 says 2792. Just looking at those numbers and subtracting them back out from 4,000 runs, if that was Jim's comment, we got a long ways to go. Your demographic in Washington County will never generate that kind of runs. Based on the population, the age of the population, and all that at this time. And I'm not a statistician, but over the years, I forget what the census, did our census go up or down this last? Went down by 500 people at 400 something, 500. So until you have people like me that may report and ambulance from time to time, if that's the case, we really need to sit down and really think hard about what our opportunities for providing a service is, you know, and the cost of that, and the cost of not doing that also. But I think you're close here. I'm going to guess that I think you're putting in 425 now.
That's right.
Yes.
And it almost sounds to me like you need to be around 700. Does that make sense, Keely, with your
Yeah, let me do those.
process?
Let me do those numbers.
You're doing it with one hand.
And I think 700 is going to be a little thin. I was
Yeah, you're gonna need 801.
801.
Yeah, probably 802 actually, if you're on it.
And
So,
that's not to get you the third truck.
No, that's just a break even.
That's just to keep you with 2 trucks, right?
that's right.
Right.
I was just thinking, just doubling it, 425.
Oh, to 850?
Yes.
Okay. So now the question is, where do you get the 425?
That's why we all make the big bucks, right?
Well,
What did that total, that insurance, what did that total up to?
we're going.
Are you talking about last year?
We have 12688.
No, the other departments. Yeah.
400.
We have, when we, of course, we try to do things that, with contrary to what some people think, kind of makes sense, but some departments have insurance in their line item, just due to the fact of whatever department they are, just
Some of them are broke out because they're needed to,
for convenience and for more clarity in the auditor's office. So there's about $400,000 there.
Because EMS has to look at, they have to use their own insurance. for-
Yeah,
for
300.
grants.
well, that's what I said.
300.
Those are split out so they can be used.
That's right. So we had actually budgeted in the commissioner's budget for health insurance like
Well, I understand.
1.2. So we were kind of double covered there.
personal
Yeah, for
department.
Yes.
those departments that need that requirement.
That's right. So there's, which is something that I wasn't aware of, but that's the fact. So there's about $300,000 there. So that's still,
The only thing, Todd, I appreciate what you're doing, but some of them are still dependent on whether things go up and things go down, right? I mean,
You mean the
we
voids
don't
for
know for a
insurance last
fact
year?
we actually have that.
but it's just like everything else in this line of work. It's projections and somewhat
Yes.
speculation and,
Yeah, I understand.
looking at past history and projecting, hopefully with good information and making sound judgments. So it's, but is it rock solid, 100% true? Who knows?
Okay, you got 300,000 in. Where's your other?
Well, we did go through their budget and cut out about 150,000 yesterday.
But we're gonna run a total number.
I know, I
So we'll look into that.
Um,
You may need that to cover the other.
Well, that's true.
So basically, what we're going to end up doing is what we had yesterday, what I was talking about as far as your sustainable budget. You're just going to erode dollars out of that money.
Yes,
That's
sir.
basically what you're going to do.
That's exactly right.
But this, I don't know how many places I've got flagged articles as far as EMS and Bill. And the other thing we was going to do, hope Chelsea's getting a chance to do that, was look at where your rate's going up in July, what impact that's going to have. When you get to that point, you're going to get some additional dollars,
Yeah,
hopefully, out of that.
you will. She and I talked a little bit about that yesterday evening, and just based on her knowledge of the ambulance service and the runs and who pays and who doesn't, she didn't think it'd be $150,000 to $200,000 additional at the most.
You know, I'd be tickled pink if it could generate the 125,
I would too.
what I would. So, that's another 125.
That helps.
So now you've already committed your 425. You had 300 possibly in other areas. That may generate, but keep in mind it starts middle of the year. You won't see that till September.
That's right.
So you're going to erode from the money that's already there. Period.
No way around it.
So the decision is, I think you gotta have the 2 trucks in order to maintain public safety within the community. So whether we like it or not, that's a cost we're gonna have to bear, in my mind. Because I'm one of the people may need to hear it.
It is.
But anyway, so I guess your recommendation is you're gonna switch the budget over to 2 trucks,
Yes, sir.
back to where we're at now, not change anything, and put the cost back in, whatever the number is projected rolls, and we'll have to fund it where we're at. Is that what y'all think to do?
That's 100% accurate.
So,
Okay, so your total supplement to the ambulance service is, do you want that to be 850? Do you
Yes.
want to, okay.
850.
yeah, with the number she wrote out yesterday, that's about where you have to be.
Gives a little bit of a cushion based off of last year's numbers. Okay, any further discussion?
Yes.
Let's keep pursuing those projections,
Yeah.
begin those numbers, so you guys need to keep rolling on trying to find where the money's at. And because we made a decision, let's not stop trying to increase our revenue. I know you guys will do that, so.
Yes, was there any mention of paramedicine or exploring that option?
Have you read up on that?
It's not legal.
Paramedicine?
It's not,
Legal
I
in
don't think
Indiana?
it's legal yet. But,
Here?
yeah. I
Have
didn't,
you read up on paramedicine?
I've read some, yes.
yeah.
I know we.
Seemed very interesting.
And I went online, I've been reading about it, and I tell you what, I'm almost afraid to try to implement it due to the cost over the first 2 years, not being something that we need to start looking at right now, because the initial startup, and you gotta start somewhere, but I don't think we're at a point where you can think about implementing that, because I don't think you're gonna get the return on your investment right up front for a couple of years. Now, that's just me.
2 years.
Nobody ever accused me of being financially savvy.
We need to watch it. It's interesting stuff.
Oh, it is. And I don't disagree with the
Definitely the
doctor.
direction I think this country is moving into, honestly. I mean, they're already implementing it in bigger cities. I know that they're using it outside of
People have
Chicago.
bigger cities, less mileage to travel. A lot of difference between
Yeah,
how condensed your population
there's
is.
a few,
Versus
there's
the
a
most
few
of-
counties and some rural Midwest states that are doing it and they're pretty successful, but
Go back
there's a
to,
huge startup cost with it.
go back to the conversation that I had with Eric Cook.
Yes.
That the economic impact on rural communities with the ambulance service and public defender's office, he is making the state aware of it. I'm gonna have more conversations with him. He's gonna try to bring that out, that he knows that is devastating and hurting small communities.
I think it might be helpful just for the ambulance board to consider writing a letter to the legislature, just to our legislators in particular.
I volunteered the board that if they ever needed us to go and to the state house or testify or do whatever, then what's happening in Washington.
You know, the sad part about all this is, we have known for 30 some odd years that the rural community is suffering dramatically from coverage from an ambulance situation. You know, and nobody wants to put the dollars in to do it, and we just made a decision to take care of our county today, didn't we?
We talk about surrounding counties, every surrounding county has had this thing. I had a conversation with one.
Oh my gosh.
But
Yeah.
due to, I mean, there's so much that you're involved into the ambulance service to know. But bad debt, you're paying for it. But it's what kind of ambulance service you really want. What do we want for Washington County? And we seen a hospital we're trying to negotiate with, but we haven't got an answer yet. So they contracted to a private firm, and you see what kind of service they get. We own our own. We haven't been on it, but we're footing the bill. What do the people of the county really want? And if you're laying there with a heart attack, you want somebody to help, we have to pay.
Yeah, I think that's a really great point. I do want to transition into Travis since he's here, and if there's any further discussion, we'll pick that up after we have a chance for Travis too. All right, this is for Building Commission, page 36.
Keely, I brought that information in that I promised, if you need me to explain, I can. And I'm representing Max.
Rhonda, we can talk about that after the hearings, thank you.
Okay.
Good.
Okay, there it goes.
So I actually think what we have in question is not page 35, but page 36 with Building Commission.
Yeah, that's what,
Okay,
I was one of them, on try it again. On this 33877, other day, I think you were kind of when you come in here, you just kind of mixed on wanting one or not wanting one. I mean, I know you need one, but, well, this 33,000 gets you somebody that can hit the ground running without you having to train them, because I know you don't have time to train them. And I know you need the help. We gotta start somewhere, but, you know, I don't wanna put the salary in and everything and all the other, what would the total be, Michelle? Look like, you know, like PERF and all that stuff, total about 60,000 or something for county employee.
You can expect to add 30%,
Yeah, about
about 30% to that.
About 45.
Yeah.
So, this feels kind of in,
Question is, what do you want?
what do you want, yeah.
Well, it's, if you're gonna bring in somebody new, it's just gonna, you know, it's gonna be rough, it's not gonna happen overnight, but yeah, they're gonna have to be trained, it's just, I mean, there's no other way around it. Because that person out there that is wherever they even may be in the state, let's say they don't need any training or whatever, say they just came out of another jurisdiction that matched ours, not perfectly, but even close, that person doesn't exist. So yeah, I mean, it's going to be rough. I mean, and it's going to take some time. We have a lot of unique, our county is unique. I mean, we've got, you know, I talk to other inspectors, other commissioners, you know, and then I've got, you know, basically my spot commissioner, plus inspector, plus now this legal arm, you know. A lot of these other jurisdictions, you may just have the commissioner, is just my spot, and then you have people underneath him. And we have also going on, we have, you know, a lot of mobile traffic coming in, a lot of temporaries, a lot of enforcement. We've got a lot of areas that are just unique for our county, and it's just because of where we're at, what the other surrounding counties are. But yeah, it's going to take, yeah, it's just going to take some time. We're just, you know, just got to bite the bullet and get that person trained. I mean, that's just all there is to it. It's just not going to be easy, but that's just where that's the stage we're at now. So, yeah, you just, you know, the money just needs to be appropriated, get someone in there, and I'll just take it from there. So, it's no different than all the different stages, you know, that I've been, there it is, since I've been in here. I mean, the changes in our, you know, the type of community, the type of building, just everything has changed. It's totally different than it was, you know, when I first got in here 20-some years ago. So, and we just got to make adjustments and go from there.
Council, what other questions do you have?
I've got a question about this person here. This person, I've had a couple of calls from other individuals asking for help on certain things with their incorporated towns. This person would not be helping incorporated towns?
I don't know. I don't know. I just, you guys are hearing the need, and you're the ones that are appropriating the money. I'm just here to do what you all tell me, basically. If you want this person going in the incorporated towns, if you want me going in the incorporated towns, you're just gonna have to figure it out. I mean, I don't.
Well, I think the council might have a position on that, but that is a commissioner decision.
Can I address that? I can answer your question really. It's not real simple, but here's the deal. We are not obligated to help towns with their building codes, so on and so forth. Some do have their own ordinances, some don't. Obviously, there's not a lot of things going on in South Tillow or Little York. But on occasion, yeah, you might get a phone call. We are not obligated, but, I'm sure, Travis is the kind of person, if someone asks for help, whether it's our responsibility or not, he usually does everything in his power to help people. That's just in his nature. Once again, we're not obligated. Doesn't pay us anything. We don't collect taxes. We don't have a source of income in the towns as such, other than small bits and pieces of the total county income. But to answer your question, in the case of, say, Pekin, they have offered to do an interlocal agreement. We haven't made a decision yet. Don't know what we're going to do, but that is the avenue that should be taken. That way it's cut and dried, it's in writing. If they want our help, then we'll take it one town at a time. If they ask for our help, then we'll request an interlocal agreement, and they're going to have to pay us.
How does Campbellsburg get by right now? How do they?
They've got their own, is it Christie Lake in there? Yeah. They're pretty much self-sufficient over there.
So these other towns could be.
Yeah, it could be.
I'm just trying to keep taking away from ambulance.
But their problem is, in order to inspect buildings, inspect new structures, there's a skill level there. You just can't pick somebody off the street
He has not
to do that. Good gosh,
They're trained now.
you have to know what you're doing.
Right.
Well, there's a legal aspect to it, there's a, possible lawsuit. You just can't get anybody that's not well qualified to do these things. So they can't, somebody like Little York obviously is not going to spend $50,000, $60,000, $70,000 to pay someone to do building inspections when they do one every 3 years.
No.
Probably couldn't afford
I
it.
agree on the low end. Okay,
Yeah, we have quite a few smaller incorporated communities that would not have the capacity, do not have the capacity, and really do have a need. I mean, I grew up in Livonia, and there's a huge need for some code enforcement as I drive through that little town. And there's no way that they can do that on their own.
That's true.
We have so many smaller needs. Just, like the example Keely just said, where yes, something needs to be done, but, like Pekin, you don't hire a full-time person because it's just, you're going to be sitting there doing nothing all day, and all of a sudden, something comes along, you need somebody that, that needs to get right on the situation, I mean, that's, and I talked, and I talked to the town of Pekin, and there was some things and I've worked with them before, we talked about this, and there's some things that could be changed, and it's the same for all the ceramic at Campbellsburg, you can just go through all of them. But I just, when I get hesitant on things like that, it just, you tell them what needs to be done, some very simple things that they could do without hiring a person that could address their problems, and they don't do it. And it's no different from 20 years ago to today. They will not do it. You've got to have a bad guy. I'm the bad guy, okay? That's what that job turns into. Because when you come in and you've got these minimums that we pass, and we sit in here and we say, yes, 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 and we're going to enforce, and we're going to do this, and we're going to do that. But then when it comes time to put a face on that situation and people, we get nervous. And we don't want to address it because it's no fun. It's stressful. it's bad situations, and just what Pekin's, talking about, what they need to be done. I asked them, I said, well, why didn't you all, I said, I've said before, I said, why did you give these people a meter? You had it in your hands. These mini barns or whatever, why? Don't know. Don't get all nervous. Don't know. Well, the problem is we don't want to tell the person no. That's why. So I worry about that, and I said, you had it wrapped up. And if you weren't sure about the structure, I said, call me. I can tell you if it's even a legal structure before it gets moving towards the meter, All this didn't happen in a day. You've got this little area you all are covering. And I know what it is. We want to shove this whole thing off on the county. These nasty phone calls, we don't want to deal with it. We want somebody else to have to deal with this. Upset people, that's what it is.
Yeah.
But, that's just a little part of it. And our county is, that example is, it's all over. We just got this, a third of it, of that job, it's just dealing with that type of problem. So, yeah, and zoning's coming along here. So, yeah, you're gonna have to have somebody else. There's no doubt about it. I mean, it's just new things, new rules, takes time, it's just more problems, more situations we gotta work through.
Travis, where are you at with zoning? I sat on the board for 3 years and we were still working through the same document the entire
We're
time.
still-
Where are you at now?
We're still
Are you
on.
closer to passing?
We're still reviewing.
We have made more progress this year than we have
Yes,
in 3 or 4 years due to somewhat the leadership.
I don't have anything else,
To chime in with what he said, it's pretty simple, we want to be good, in regards to these towns, we want to be good neighbors. Neighbors help neighbors. But we don't want to take them to raise either.
So you expect if they wanted that assistance from the county for them to go enter into an interlocal government agreement?
well, I got one other thing to say about that on the towns, when you're getting involved with that again. When it gets down to like this situation I just said, okay, you've made a mistake, you've set some meters, okay, and you're gonna have to now deal with this situation the hard way. I explained to them, and I don't know if people just don't understand, once you get enforcement and write somebody up and go through the proper steps, because you need to treat everybody fair too. You can't be out just, passing whatever you want to pass and then just crack down. It's just, you've got to be fair. I mean, that too. But when we go through the steps, and it's just like we're putting this enforcement package together, where, we go through our, our letters, our different stages of enforcement, and then we're basically we're stepping back from it. We're going to the courts then, we're letting the judge make the decision. We're not actually making the final decision. But I tried to explain it to the town of Pekin, it's just not, you show up and you wave a magic wand, and everybody, you hand them this letter. Oh my gosh, I didn't even know this. We're going to start doing what we're supposed to do. That's not going to happen, and that doesn't happen. I said, who's going to pay for the attorneys? You're going to have to start going through all the practical stuff. And I said, who's representing you all? Well, that's, we have a little conflict with that. So then, we've had to go a different avenue with who's going to represent the county. Well, they never figured that out either. So, and there was things they were supposed to take back to their council and get worked out. So I said, there's more to this. Even if you've got somebody there, you're in basically the same boat we are. So how are you guys going to handle that? And I told you, get all that figured out. Hey, I'm just, well, not all that, just those two minor things. I'm all on board, because you can take care of 90% of yourself, just with those few things. But you've got to have, you've got to have the enforcement part lined up, because that's basically what you're asking us to do now, is the dirty work. So, no answer was ever given.
So at this point, the zoning hasn't been passed. At this point, there are no interlocal government agreements. This is based on your existing workload right now. Like, right now, there's not been a change, like significant change in planning and zoning, zoning passed, or having interlocal government agreements with other towns.
Just let you carry it out.
This is, it's nothing, that all was just in the, just in the discussion, yeah. No, and we're going, like I said, the county, we're going to have to move forward with somebody. We're going to eventually have to get somebody on here, get them trained and add, just on the zoning part alone, you're going to have somebody else also. It's just the workload's just increasing daily. I mean, that's just the way it is. We're growing. Like that number I gave you the other day, 18 million. You know how much development's going on in this county? It's unbelievable.
Oh, that's a lot.
That's 6 months, and that's just your residential part. That's not counting that's new. And that's, it used to be, when I first got in here, it was a 1,600, 1,500 square foot home, 2,000 square foot home, basic. But now it's 4,000, 5,000, 6,000. It used to be 1 permit, now these are like 4 permits, So.
Council, do you have any other
I don't
questions
have
for Travis? Okay,
Thank you,
all
Travis.
right, thank you.
All right, great, thanks you all. All right, see you.
Appreciate it.
Yeah, no problem. Your desk is falling apart. Thanks, everybody, appreciate it. All right.
Okay, Chelsea, would you like to come up?
Yeah.
Okay, reminder, the EMS budget is found in your packet on page 61.
Give it to her.
Page
61.
61.
How did your case go?
10 hours.
Oh, yeah.
Good morning.
You said you're welcome.
Yeah, let's do this.
Okay, so I did talk to ambulance billing, trying to get some numbers. There were some things that I did not have yet that they were unable to pull. But the stuff that I was able to get, I have on that first page that I gave you. If you look at the total revenue that we have had over, from 19 to 22, and then the second page I gave you, it goes down to 2017. You will be able to see a net per trip amount, and the billed calls. So in the packet I gave you as well, I broke it down yearly what our 911 volume was versus and what our transfer volume was. You'll notice that our billed calls from 2017 to 2021 is very close. However, in 2019, when we stopped doing transfers, our 911 volume has went up. So the net trip, statistically, 911s will bill at a lower amount than transfers will. And so that is why you will see the net trip that has decreased from 2017 to 2021. In 2017, a lot more of our billed calls were transfers. In 2021, when we were doing mostly just 911, that net trip would go down. Our total revenue, last year, we brought in $867,602. They're projecting us at ambulance billing to be at $998,462 for the year of 2022. This Medicare, Medicaid rate, I did break that down. The BLS non-emergent for Medicaid is at $95.84. The Medicare rate for BLS non-emergent is $234.01. So that's a difference of $138. The BLS emergent is at $110.84. The BLS Medicare is $374.41. So that's a difference of $263.57. Now, the Medicaid ALS, it breaks it down. We have ALS 1 and ALS 2. ALS 1 is going to be like your basic ALS care. It's going to be like cardiac monitor IV. Your ALS 2 is going to be like your innovations, IOs. That's going to be your more like in-depth stuff. So Medicare bills that Medicaid bills that whether it's ALS 1 or 2 at the same base rate, $160.84. Medicare, on the other hand, separates those two rates. So ALS 1 for Medicare is $444, and Medicare ALS 2 is $643. So when you compare those, it's a difference of $283.77 potential, and then another potential for $482.67. So you can see by the difference and by if Medicaid has been passed on the state level, federal level is where it's going to next, that the difference in payment can be quite a bit. The Medicaid miles is going to bill this. Just a base. If it's BLS, it's $331 a mile. If it's ALS, it's $441 a mile, and that's just base, what it is. Medicare, on the other hand, breaks it down. It's $12.15 for 0.1 miles to 17 miles, and then it's $8.10 after the 17 miles. How we are in the county, how big of an area we are in our lengthy transports, the difference in those dollar amounts for transport is very significant, because we can have 30-mile transports depending on what hospital we need to go to. If we need to go to U of L, if we need to go to Norton's, if we're going to Brownsboro. So just the way the county is set up and the logistics of that, our transport miles that we're getting is pretty significant. But you'll also see on this page that I gave you, so we have the charges that we can start with. We have the mandatory adjustments, Medicare, Medicaid, right off the bat we'll say, no, this is the rate that we're giving you. That's whenever that gets down to the Medicaid BLS rate, the Medicare BLS rate. Those just come straight off what we can bill. So then we have the adjustment charges and then what we're recouping. So we're in the 75, like last year was 75.3% is what we're getting after we have to make those mandatory adjustments. But I know that you look at the net trip and you see our billed calls and that is going down. You just have to take into consideration that transfers are going to bill higher. So that is why our run volume has went up though, because if you look at our 911 run volume from like 2018, we were at 2,372. And our 911 run volume for 21 was 2,792. So that's 400 runs. That's 911s that have went up. So.
And then these numbers right here, when you have the calls, those are just ones that you can actually bill for. So you probably have a lot of 911 calls that you cannot bill for.
Yeah, and there's certain things that are not, like sometimes we'll get 911s for like certain things that are like their doctor's office, those would fall into they need to be seen at a primary care, or they need to be seen somewhere else. So they're not going to bill, Medicare, Medicaid is not going to bill, they're going to give us like a wheelchair great, because they didn't qualify to be a stretcher and they weren't an emergent call.
Ambulance board, did you and Chelsea already have that conversation about the amount that you were going to be asking for in your budget, and then where the supplement was going to come from and what that supplement would be at?
We've had multiple discussions, but as far as tweaking that final number, the stipend, Chelsea's, we're going to set it at $850 total, it's been $425. So this should be ample and adequate to get you through with what you want to do with the two trucks. We're going to postpone doing anything on the third truck because we don't have enough business for the third truck, because we don't know what St. Vincent's Ascension is going to do. I don't think they know, so we'll just stay in a holding pattern at that and move forward.
Was there any other numbers that you guys wanted me to try to get?
I guess I need some verifications on this page right here. The bottom column, you have charges, that's the total charge that was made right in that line.
Yeah, this spreadsheet came from ambulance billing. They are the ones, they emailed me this morning. But that charge was the amount that we had the potential to bill.
I'm just looking at the mandatory adjustments. And I guess the mandatory adjustment is referring to what Medicare don't pay, forget Medicaid.
Yeah.
They're not gonna pay hardly anything at this point in time. That's what I'm trying to get to, so those mandatory adjustments are less than, of course, everything's not Medicare, so those numbers would have private insurance computed into them also, which is they're about 60% versus, so that answers that question for me. So, okay, we get past that. And then we get down to revenue, and I look at that, and, okay, it is what it is. And I'm just looking, and I'm, 18, I see $1 million, over $1 million. And I see 17, then I'm looking 21, it's kind of gone that way, 71 to 75. Now I'm going to move to these numbers where you was quoting the rates. And that's the rates at today's.
That's 2022, yes.
Okay,
So the Medicaid is supposed to be going more close to the Medicare rate.
well, that's going to get that. Do we have a feel, and our report should show that, so we'll know how much an increase we're going to get? That's what so I'm looking at this Medicaid model, and if we're running about 25-30% Medicaid runs, and I just made up that number, you have a feel for what we're really running with Medicaid?
I asked for that. I asked for a percentage of, like, out of the total of our patients, what percentage of our patients were Medicare, what percentage of our patients were Medicaid. I asked for that. They said that that's going to be a very large report, and that's what they have not gotten back to me. They said it would take.
Because that would be a big,
Yes.
that's going to be a big decision maker, because if it's more 50-50, that's a pretty good increase for us.
Yeah.
If it's only 10% of our volume, it's another thing to look at. But like I say, that don't start until July. But boy, once that starts, That's gonna be huge, I think.
I would rather, I don't wanna like go, come in thinking that we're gonna be here and we come in here, like, I feel like we have to be reasonable and see where we are at after the changes in July and not be like, oh, well, we looked at these, we think we're gonna be here. Like, I'd rather us come in low, plan for low, and then have the potential to make.
Again, I like the way you think. Okay.
But I just don't wanna come in and be like, okay, well, say 35% of our patients are Medicaid, where we should be making this, and then we get down to 23, and we're like, no, we didn't make that, we didn't make what we expected. I just
Well,
rather
if they
plan
give
on.
you that number of your percentage of Medicaid versus Medicare, if you look at it, I'm gonna bet historically that percentage of difference won't change a huge amount. So if they tell us we're 25% Medicaid of our total Medicaid runs, because let's face it, those are 50% of our billing money right there, between those two, not maybe more. But if they'll give you that history, I'm almost sure you'll be able to make a reasonable projection. And if you want to shade and go backwards a little bit to be on the low side, I'm good with that too. Understand the mentality. Better go in instead of thinking this and plan on it and don't get this. Go the other way. But I don't know when you're going to get that, but whenever you do, you can give it to your Rondell or somebody. I just like to get a copy of it just so I have something to do in my spare time.
Okay,
You
all
know?
right, I'll get that for you as soon as I get it. So, all right, Chelsea, the only question I have remaining is on here where you have revenue, the numbers you gave us yesterday for 2021 when you were talking about insurance, was that a total number, and is this only Medicare and Medicaid, or the number you had given us yesterday or the day before was $966,550?
Or can I see what you're talking about?
Oh, for 21 insurance.
I'm not sure. Heather gave me this morning.
Okay.
Are you talking about?
I'm talking about, so this number right here, that's not your total income, right? Your revenue right here.
That's what they gave me today, yes.
Okay, yesterday when you were presenting, you said you had an email that said your 21 insurance revenue was $966,550.
I went back to our deposits. That's just what I had pulled up from something that Nick had previously that I logged into to see, because he had a spreadsheet then, so that's what I looked at, that's what I got that from. That was not something that I got from Avon Filling. This came from Avon Filling this morning. I don't know.
Okay. Well, I think that's important because the numbers that
Well,
we're
that's just
figuring.
the revenue. What if you had in your 325? You see, when I look at this, I don't see 67. I see 1.2 for the year. That's how I'm done.
No, then what I'm saying though is the numbers that I gave you all I was basing the insurance
Oh,
numbers
okay.
off of what she gave me yesterday. So there's about $100,000 difference there,
Yeah.
which makes the need not 800,000, but 900,000. So with 850, you might still not be where we need to be.
I can pull, Michelle, do you have the total?
That's for 21, all right? Okay. I'm gonna be interested in, that budget's already wiped out. That's behind us.
Michelle,
See what I'm saying?
are you able to pull the deposits for, because this is what I got yesterday, when I pulled the email from, where Nick had kept that spreadsheet, that's where I got that number from.
I mean, we'll have everything that you left in last year, which will count everything.
It didn't get in the deposits
It goes every year.
and goes every year, so that could be where part of your difference is.
Yeah, okay.
Okay. Well, I just want the council to be aware that there is about $100,000 difference from the numbers I was calculating with that to what is on this paper.
That's a difficult part. You're trying to project income.
No, this is just me looking backwards.
Last year's income, including the stipend of $425, was $1,280,381.32. That included everything that come in that ambulance department.
Yep,
Yeah.
that's $100,000.
If you add that to your 867, 425 to it, off this sheet, that's about what you're gonna get.
So this,
Yeah, I'm good with what the number side.
Even with the $50,000 difference from last year, because of expecting a change in the rates.
this was a spreadsheet that was kept prior to me. So that's where I went off of that, the monthly deposit. That was before me, so that was.
Yeah.
So that's whenever you asked that yesterday, I pulled up the email because I had access to his email, so that's, I went to the deposit.
You might dig into that data, because based on Michelle's numbers and based on these numbers you provided today from the report that you pulled from them, there is a $100,000 gap from what that is on, what's on there. So
Well,
you
my
might,
numbers also include something that ABS would not know about, the bands.
and it's,
um,
well, theirs is looking like we got an extra $100,000, so it's,
Was the money for the deposits for, another thing that's not going to be included in this is when we just got the Mount Hospital. We had, because they went back to Medicare and Medicaid, like what, they do like an adjustment, and ABS doesn't count that as our income, because they don't, whatever they take the income, they take as a percentage out of it, we don't get an outcome. We just got, we got 2 deposits last year for an outcome.
okay, but Michelle would have that. Yes, yeah.
How much?
So even,
Deposit?
I don't know what it was last year because that happened
Yeah,
before me.
sure.
Okay, well,
This year we got, we had like 20, and we just got
and
that.
that's your adjustment for paying the roll.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. How much was it again? I know what it used to be, I don't know what it is.
So it's gonna change yearly because we're gonna go off of,
yeah, what, Michelle?
Did you ask me something? I was just looking to see if there was anything I'm missing, but
No, like I said, I was taking numbers that she had in her report from yesterday and adding it to the stipend to see what the total receipts would be, what the total income would be, and that number, which is what we were basing adjusting the supplement off of, is off by $100,000.
So if her events is 60 to 70,000, you're right back getting close to.
No, Michelle has the total. She has the total, the total deposits, which are 1.2, so 1,281,381. That's still a $100,000 gap from the I was using to calculate.
325 off of that. But this number that you're subtracting back to wouldn't have the events in it, and hers would.
Hers has everything, and we're still $100,000 off from the numbers I gave you. That's what I'm saying.
we did our 20, we got $22,339 from Alcon.
Yeah, that's not what that's what excuse me, when we first started out in 14, between everything, after he took his big cut out, we get about 35 from federal, and if the state, we had to pay 5 to get 15, so we're net 10. Same category, Chelsea, for Penville Hospital. Then they come back right before I went off the board and lowered that to about that number. He's taking his cut, which I think he's taking 30, 35%, I think.
I can call Heather right now and ask her.
You have some people around, man.
No, I feel like-
To just explain this sheet, because if anything is not included.
No, I just think this data is wrong. I think there's something in there that's inflating that number, and I don't know what it is, but you just got this yeah, well, I'm just saying, you just got this report from ambulance billing. Michelle just gave us a number.
I just wonder, Keely, Because ambulance billing, when they send me what they deposit, or what our deposits are supposed to be,
Mm-hmm.
say for the month of June,
Yeah.
but that deposit actually don't hit our bank until July 2nd. But, yeah, let's take the end of the year for an example. If they're saying, okay, in December, your deposits are supposed to be this for insurance, but they don't hit our bank account to January 2nd, ABS don't take that into account if there's a lag between the time.
So do you think there could have been $100,000
That's what I'm just
between
wondering.
December and January of last year and this year?
That's what I'm wondering. I don't know that for a fact.
Yeah.
I'm just using that as an example.
Yeah.
I know that this spreadsheet that he started was, they give us, like Fridays, we get a list, and she gets included in it, I get included in it, and I know that every time there's a deposit, like it's all broke down and it gets entered in. But they're just telling us what we are going to be, it's not that we have physically obtained that amount, correct?
Yeah, because I've got some downstairs that they say, let's take the Treasury, for example, the United States Treasury, we get money for them for the Medicare reimbursements.
CMS, yeah.
ABS may tell me on a Friday that US Treasury, $1,500. I may check the bank, we may not get that $1,500 for 4 more months. If that makes sense.
It does make sense, but I don't know how it would have shown up year over year and why there'd be, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
I would think it would have done the same thing the year before, so, but,
I can't explain that.
but that's fine. I mean, you still gave us the number of what the total deposits were, and it was off of the number that I was calculating, so I just want to make sure everybody was aware that when I said,
You realize that when they file for an insurance for a run, it could be 2 years, depending on the type of the incident it was, vehicle, what have you. It's 2 years before you may get paid for that billing you've done from insurance, if it's tied up in the legal battles.
Yep.
all right,
So
so
everything you bill is not what you necessarily get paid, and you could get paid more than what you were billed when some of them got closed out.
Yep, that's right, you can.
So with that, is everyone, are you all okay with I just want to make sure that number was communicated. The supplement, the 850, would you like to keep it at that, commissioners?
Yes.
Okay. All right, and I have no further questions. Are there any other questions of Chelsea from the council?
Just want to make a comment that this young lady's worked her tail off, and I just appreciate that. This is a service that we're providing to the county, and speaking from firsthand experience, without it, I probably wouldn't be sitting in this seat. Because I made a trip to Floyd with a bad heart attack. Didn't realize it at the time because I was stubborn, but anyway, you can't put a price on what they do. So that's all I'm going to say.
I will talk to Heather and get back to you.
Sounds good. Thank you, Chelsea.
Thank you, Chelsea.